You want? There's one more. But you can win that at the gala raffle tomorrow. The gala raffle has the other facial. So this is from one of our partners, actually. Rare Skincare in the States has donated one of her gentleman facials to one of you deserving men. Thank you, Ms. Netta, who is also our vendor manager and director today. So her business is skincare, and she specializes in women and men's skincare. So we are so excited about this. Y'all ready for y'all next one? It's the Roger Rabbit! That's why it's fun.
They look like some 90s babies, I'll be honest with you. So I don't think this is good. So we may need some people.
He's a ringer. Are you a professional dancer? Alright. Who was our winner of that one? Come on.
I don't know any of them. I don't know any.
Oh wait, hold on. Oh, there you go. Okay. Alright. We realize I guess I'm old because I picked the song, right? Or maybe I just have old parents I grew up on it. But this last one, if y'all don't know this, I don't know what to tell you. It's over. The last one is, this next one is for a VIP bag. So that's what the next raffle is for. Y'all will be young, so I want you to teach me how to Dougie. Okay! Thank y'all for entertaining me for this time.
All right, y'all still with us? Make some noise if you're still with us, please. I was in PIP. I had some food for us back there. I found my way to the normal person's sandwich line. Had some cookies and some brownies. I'm trying to get my energy up right now. Because the itis is trying to kick in.
Hey.
I was over there holding on. I had a little piece of cookies left. I was trying to finish that little piece of cookie. I couldn't do it. The cookies was fire. But who had the tuna? Anybody had the tuna? Was the tuna fire? I stuck a little tuna on my plate too. But I was in the back talking about, man, this tuna is a man. They did their thing with this tuna. They had little real pickles diced in it. It's too forget it. I'm happy to be here today. You know what? Before we go to our next host who has some amazing shoes, I'm going to say I want to come. We didn't really come to the sponsors just yet, so I just would like them to give a little quick 30-second introduction, the name of their business and what they do, and how people can get in contact with them. We're going to start with this brother right here. He has a big name, Ignatius. That's real. Give it up for Ignatius one time.
What that essentially means is I do finances for people's businesses, taxes, accounting, bookkeeping, consulting, as well as financial planning on the personal side. So if anybody is looking for any assistance with your business or on the personal side, whether it's financial planning, feel free to reach out to us. Yourtaxes.com. Nice and easy. Okay?
This next brother right here, if y'all haven't seen him, he's already, his goatee is on point on this picture right here. While I was listening to the brother talk, he didn't talk to me directly, I was indirectly listening. And he said he's in Ohio, he's doing big things, he's doing some things in Atlanta, he's trying to move out here. Y'all please put y'all hands together for Dwayne Griffin Jr.
What's up, guys? My name is Dwayne Griffin, also known as Mr. Group Homes. Started working part-time in the group home. I was an educator in high school, started working part-time. Retired 10.5 years into education, went to group homes full-time. I started from $10 an hour job up to house manager, up to program manager, where I learned how to open up these homes. I learned how to do their furniture vouchers, all the above. I built relationships in the community, and slowly but surely, I saw what that corporate company was doing, and I fired my job. Y'all. 2.5 years later into it, I started making 6 figures. The last 2 years, I've been seven-figure earner in this business. It allowed me to travel the world with me and my family. I do conferences. That's how I met RJ. That's how I'm here today. Relationships. RJ did a video for me back in March. He told me about this event, and I said, why not come out here and support? I went to go look at a home in Chandler yesterday, a few homes in Chandler. I'm coming out here, Arizona. It's nice. Y'all need to adapt to what's going on out here. The black culture is real. Let's get it. Yes, sir. All right?
Real quick, he said relationships. I was just talking to my brother right here, and I told him, in this world, everything is about your relationships. Network. I told him that he was saying he don't really get out like that. I said, you gotta get out. I said, to be honest with you, I'm one of the most shy people on the planet. I said, what got me out of my shell was having to get on this stage. And I said, getting on that stage and receiving that energy from everybody else allowed me to share myself a little bit more. And now, I'm still shy, but I don't look like it, but I'm still shy, but I still work on it. And this is why I continue to do these kind of events, because it lets me network, it lets me get out of my shell and be around people who I may not have had the opportunity to be around. So that's a beautiful thing. We just was talking about relationships. Now, the next good brother right here, I want you to go ahead and stand up. He's in the VIP lounge. He was at the table with Paris concert. And Paris, it was beautiful for him because We talk about seeing people that make real money. That brother is making real, legitimate money, but he's very down to earth. He's focused on his life and his career, and that's a beautiful thing. I'm going to ask the next brother to come on up here and tell us who he is. And I know this is the brother from, hold up. Let me. Well, I say Cubanese, but Benedict.
I refuse to follow these two gentlemen. They're so outstanding.
He'll introduce himself.
Yes, my name is Wasinke Homicide Kaizen Dominion.
Okay.
Has anybody seen the movie The Homicide?
Absolutely.
With Hans Strubing? Give us free! I'm named after the warrior that took over that ship. Because I did my genealogy and learned that I'm descended from the Mende people of West Africa. Before that, I only knew people that owned us, and I had a name that came from England. But I got rid of that name and got in touch with my real name. My company, Kaizen Rhino Solutions, is an innovative financial education business. When I say innovative, 99% of the time, when you hear something about money and wealth building, they talk about the literacy. Kaizen Rhino Solutions helps you create the account. We begin with the account. That means when you're hearing the literacy, you're applying it to the fact that you own a wealth building account. So that's what sets us apart. So reach back out to me. We don't care where you start. You can start at zero or you can be already running. But we help you build greater wealth. So earlier when we were talking about real estate, that's physical real estate ownership, that dynamic. We teach you how to own the investment element of real estate. Like most businesses, McDonald's and all those, or any place where there is that you can own that through stocks. So it's still real estate, but we teach you how to own it through stock ownership. And most of the ultra wealthy people in America, they leverage their wealth through ownership. Ownership of whether it's real estate or different stocks and so forth. So that's what we do at Kaizen Rhino Solutions. And because my name is Wasinke, I'm the only person in the world named Wasinke, W-A-C-I-N-Q-U-E. On any kind of media, you will find me, because I'm the only one. Then my company, Kaizen Rhino, has one word, K-A-I-Z-E-N, Rhino, only one in the world. You Google, you ask ChatGPT, any of those mediums, you ask who is Wasinke or what is Kaizen Rhino, you will find me. So if I don't hear from everybody, I'm going to have my feelings hurt. But I'm finding you. And I can teach you how to increase your wealth wherever you're starting. It's called passive investing because you're not having to run around. But this is the money that works while you sleep. So that's what I do. And I'm so glad to be here from New Mexico. Shout out to New Mexico. Anybody?
There's the Lord, right?
I'm here. Oh, okay. We got two people.
Well, I got a ticket there.
Two people. But I really am. I'm so glad to be here. I've only known Cece for how long have we known each other?
A week.
1 week. 1 week. Yet I'm here.
Amen.
Growing up
to get into it, talk about some other things we need to be discussing. The brother with the most beautiful shoes that made me want to give me some loafers when I leave here. Give it up to TJ Nettles one time.
So good to see everybody. Hola, mi gente. It is great to see all of my black brothers and sisters in this room for this amazing conference. Again, my name is TJ, and I just wanted to introduce myself as a licensed marriage and family therapist. I'm one of the owners of Melanin Plus Counseling and Wellness, where we specialize in PTSD, working with men, as well as relationship couples and intimacy as well. With that being said, today, I wanted to be able to talk about a topic that can be very difficult for a lot of people to discuss, and more specifically, men. And even more specific on that, black men. And we are having a lot of fun, so I want to still keep that energy, but I also want to make sure that we are talking about something that has to be addressed. So I wanted to be able to talk about 3 things that we just need to be aware of today, so everyone is on the same page. The first thing I wanted to say is during my presentation, this is going to be about themes. And so when it comes down to that, it's important that we understand that this does not become a monolithic thing where it fits every single person in this room. However, the research, the experience, and also the people that I see often fit into these boxes. As black brothers and sisters, we often have this one way of thinking, or we often are labeled or politicized in certain ways, and that is not what this topic is about, but it is an emotion that we all do feel every single day. The second thing I just want everyone to be aware of is that I'm going to be doing some cash prizes and some tosses, so just be aware, because I might be throwing some stuff at people, just to kind of keep you awake, because we just ate, and right now we are in this digestive rest state, so we're all chilling, we're all good, we're all cool, so it might be a little way to wake you up, alright? So, I wanted to play a little game with Never Have I Ever, and this is going to cause, for some people, some discomfort, but that is okay, because we are here to also get uncomfortable, isn't that right, man? Yeah. So you do not have to participate. However, I would love to see if you can engage this. So I need everyone to hold up 4 fingers just in the air. And I wanted to ask, when it comes to this game, if you have done it, please put a finger down. Are y'all ready? Never have I ever seen a horror movie before. Put 1 finger down if you have. Never have I ever seen a horror movie before. Okay. Never have I ever been able to watch pornography in my relationship and or hide it. Never have I ever watched pornography in my relationship and hide it. Okay. Yeah, hide it. Yeah, hide it. Okay. Have we watched pornography and hide it? Okay. Never have I ever lied to protect someone else's feelings.
Okay, yeah.
And also, never have I ever cheated in a relationship. Interesting, hands down. Thank you, my brothers. I appreciate that. Okay. So, for some of you, you may have already been able to say, nah, that isn't applying to me, TJ, no, it's not important. Why is he even talking about this? This is strange, this is different. And then for some of you came in truly saying, this is honest. I'm being real, this is who I am, this is what it's about. But the majority of the time when this is done in a group setting, most people don't self-disclose. And more often, more people protect an image because image is everything specifically for a lot of men. Yeah? Today, we are talking about a crisis that I believe is really powerful, but also really not talked about in the mental health men community, which is shame. Shame is an emotion that every single person has on this planet and earth, but yet, we don't want to talk about it. It's not discussed. It's often something that's put aside, and more so, it shows up differently in men, specifically black men, when it comes down to living life. And so, I wanted to ask everybody this question. When it comes down to shame, do we even know what it is? Do we even know what it feels like? Maybe you felt it in this little game that we played for a second, because your physical body maybe felt some tension, maybe felt some heat, maybe felt some discomfort, but we shook it off. It was cool. It's not a big deal. And maybe for the people that were dancing on stage also felt some shame when they didn't maybe have the right dance moves or didn't know the song to be able to dance to. But it's okay. We shake it off. It's not a big deal. Let's move on. Shame is one of those things when it comes down to men that is a mental health crisis because it's hidden so deep in us, we tend to show behaviors in different ways that we aren't recognizing that it's tied to. In fact, when it comes down to shame, depression and anxiety often go hand in hand with that emotion. And really, shame on just the surface is truly just about embarrassment, humiliation, but more specifically to something that you find immoral, uncomfortable, or dissatisfying. That's all it is. And so what I do working with men is to be able to increase emotional intelligence to work through the feelings of shame in 3 ways. Can we identify, can we express, and can we apply? Can we actually identify the emotions that we have every single day with the relationships that we are interacting with? Can we actually be able to express how we feel amongst other people in the room that's not just about a mask or a certain type of persona? And number 3, can we apply the skills so that we can be able to increase and overcome shame, that it can show up more authentically in our lives and more specifically in our relationships? When it comes down to men in America, only 32% of people that are men identifying actually go to therapy. 32%, y'all. That was a statistic last year in 2023 from the Journal of Mental Health and also the Relational Journal. And when it comes down to 32% of men, do you know what brings them actually to therapy to begin with? Court orders, addiction, and or relationships. That's the only reason. And so when we do this is something that we often try to either escape, run away from, because 1, therapy has such a stigma about what it is, but the honest truth about therapy, all it is, y'all, is just the ability to have a connection and a conversation. That's it. That's what y'all doing now. That's why in this community right now, having a conversation, talking, connecting, networking, that is all it is on its plain simple form. But it also comes with a risk for some because of the emotionality. So I wanted for all of us, and if you have your presentations, I'm not sure if you could, but there was a diagram that I wanted to show you about what it looks like to actually experience shame in our bodies. And shame, once again, is one of those things that you cannot see. What we often recognize are different emotions such as anxiety, maybe anger, maybe the sense of some sadness, but not shame. It's escapable, and it's one of those things that's a part of all of us in different ways. But when it comes to men, and specifically black men in particular, how we show emotions are in 3 ways. And we actually only show 3 emotions on the surface, specifically in our relationships. Does anybody know? Can you guess one emotion that we often just show right up front? We were doing it today, just before. We were all dancing, having a good time. What were we doing? What emotion was that? We were happy, right? We do that all the time. We congregate, we get together, we celebrate, we rejoice. All of those things are amazing as we were able to actually come together as a community. The second emotion that shows up on black men on the surface is also anger, right? We all understand what that is. Frustration, irritability, a pet peeve, something that we don't like, a bother. All of that is still under anger. And we show that quite a bit as we start talking and engaging with each other. And more so, it shows up in our relationships. Whether you've been married for 25 years, or even just starting to date someone for the first time, anger is something that's a part of us and it's a natural thing. But there is one more emotion that men in particular show when it comes to feeling uncomfortable and that they don't want to feel. And that emotion is numbness. We're numb. We're on autopilot. I got things to do, I got responsibilities, I gotta go here, I gotta go there, I have a whole list, I gotta take care of the kids, I gotta take care of my wife, I gotta do whatever I have to do to get through the day. I'm hustling, I'm grinding, we gotta hit it hard. All of that, by the way, is numb. Because at the end of the day, we rest, and then we repeat the cycle all over again. So, men in the room, I just wanted to ask, are we only capable of having 3 emotions in this lifetime? Happiness, anger, and numbness? No. But a lot of the times, that's what we show. And so, what's underneath the surface are a whole bunch of other things. Anxiety, feeling inadequate, not being able to do enough, feeling like we're lost, feeling like we're embarrassed, feeling like we are actually having shame, depression. Those are the things that people don't see. And this is why it often becomes a silent death to a lot of men, because over time and being compounded, it starts to affect us in a lot of different ways. I think a lot of the times when people show up to mental health, especially in my office, they want to be able to tell me, TJ, I just want to be a better version of myself. I want to have a positive attitude, I want to think better, and so if I think better, I'll do better. And so that's exactly what mental health is being positive, right? Change the mindset, change the behavior, we're good to go. But that is not mental health, y'all. That's Disney. That's a fantasy. True mental health and good mental health is about capacity and also being able to be flexible with the spectrum of emotions that we have. That is what mental health is. So when people come to my office or we're addressing things in mental health with men, our job is to address, not suppress. And that is the main key. Because when it comes to our own relationships, 80% of men, when it comes to conflict, start to shut down, avoid, or run away. Because it's uncomfortable. It's not something we want to deal with, it's not something we want to talk about. And so this is how it starts to happen and fester. Yeah? So, I want to ask everybody in the room, why do we even have emotions to begin with, though? Anybody know? Why can't we just use this 3 pounds of meatloaf in our head to be able just to move through the world? Why do we need feelings? It's not necessary to talk about. We don't have to have them. Logic is what got us through, got us to survive, got us to move through all types of spaces. But feelings do serve a purpose. And you let me know. One of the things that we often talk about when it comes to feelings is that it's the purpose of ability to survive and adapt. When we're able to feel, we are actually able to move through spaces when it comes down to fear, whether we're passionate, whether we're embarrassed, whether we have shame, whether we have pride. It actually makes us move because of discomfort and or something that we want to continue happening. We also develop sense of emotions because it's how we communicate. A lot of men think that they just talk through logic and reason and understanding, but the reality is, everybody here has made relationships and connections at some point in their life because of feelings, not logic. Think about it. The investment that we have to have, the time that we put in, the energy that we have, is all about being able to connect. And that's a feeling-centered aspect, not a logical one. We also have feelings to be able to really self-regulate. It's about how do we calm ourselves? How are we able to know the intensities of things or when things are not intense enough? Those are all feelings-based, and we have to be able to tap into that to understand what that looks like. And more so, we also have feelings because it creates motivation and it makes goals. All of the entrepreneurs in this room, all of the people that you see that are black businesses or people that you aspire to be, do you think that comes from logic as an idea, or does that come from passion, which is a feeling? There's reasons why we do things, y'all, and that's something that we tap into. But a lot of the times, it's too uncomfortable to even talk about feelings in the room. And because of that discomfort, that's where shame comes from. In fact, shame is one of those things that starts to happen and be created literally at the age of 2. So when we experience shame, it's one of those things that we don't even understand because as a kid, we are one of those people that could be in a room, be able to put our hands in the cookie jar, and all of a sudden, we feel embarrassed. All of a sudden, we say, don't do that. All of a sudden, it's a no. All of a sudden, it's a problem. All of a sudden, it's an issue. At the age of 2, every single person in this room has experienced what that's like to have shame. And so more so, it comes up in our relationships, and more so, it comes up in education, and more so, it comes up in our other institutions, and more so, it comes up when we're able to think about what shame can do to reduce. But what's interesting about shame to me is that what happens and why we suppress is because it's often into a sense of fight or flight. When it comes down to our nervous system, we get into 2 aspects of wanting to live and survive because our brain is wired to look for everything uncomfortable in this world, in this room, what's happening to you. So we're on high alert all the time. And so when we get into fight or flight, our nervous system starts to get activated. We get hot, we get defensive, we start to get heavy, we start to actually feel tired, we get dizzy. All of these things happen with our blood boiling. These are true things happening internally with our bodies. And then, for some of us, we get into a whole different response, where we actually start to fly away. We retreat, we say, I don't want to deal with conflict, this is too uncomfortable for me, I don't like this, my partner's yelling at me, my sister's pissed at me, I did the wrong thing at this job, it just goes on and on. And so we shut down, and then our partners are looking at us like, why aren't you talking? You have nothing else to say? Nigga, wake up! You know what I mean? And we just keep going over and over again into this. And the screaming and the yelling and the back and forth, we just say, I can't do this no more, I'm out! And then we move on to the next relationship, thinking that we've grown. Thinking that we've healed. And let me take that back, because we actually have grown moving on to more relationships. The difference is, growth only happens with time. So, time happens to everybody. We all age, we grow out of relationships, we grow out of our own jobs and careers, we even grow with being able to do a certain passion. But that doesn't mean we've healed, though. Healing requires time and intention. Meaning that we are actually working through what it is to be a human, what it is to have certain types of uncomfort feelings, and more so, what it's like to move through spaces that we don't want to talk about. When we can do that as men in the room, that is true strength and greatness. Raise your hand in the room if you are a person that likes to work out, go to the gym, exercise. Anybody? Anybody here like to the gym? Okay, great. I'm going for it too. My personal trainer says I need to do more, but I have too much in to do it today, so I'm not doing it. But with that being said, when it comes time to exercise, I wanted to ask anybody, does your personal trainer ever tell you that it's not going to be painful? Does your personal trainer ever say that you aren't going to experience some type of physical reaction to working out? No fatigue, no cramps, no aches, maybe even possible injuries, right? And so when we do exercise, the one thing that we're often told across the board as men is mental toughness. Suck it up. You can do it. This is easy. One more to go. Do one last rep. One more push. Push, 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 push. And so we do it. We tell ourselves the same things that stimulate us. We tell ourselves the same things that we can go about. We tell ourselves the things that we can actually move across the spaces. But what's interesting about physical health is that pain, that physical pain you experience when you work out for the first time or when you push yourself hard, it was never about not feeling the pain, right? You're gonna have it. You understand it's coming. We know it's there, and yet we're able to move through it and also get the outcomes and desires that we're looking for. But with mental health, we feel pain and we say, I'm not doing it. That's not something I want to experience. That's not something I enjoy. So I'm going to keep suppressing because that shame is just as strong. And when we think about shame again, it's interesting because all of us in this room at some point have had all types of experiences that can be considered to be negative or hard or difficult, but that doesn't mean that once again, just because we grow up, just because we're out of that space, just because we left that environment, that we've done any type of healing, right? All we did was just move on. So, the question I want to ask everybody is, where do the emotions go, y'all? Where did they go? Did they just disappear? Do we no longer have the ability to feel shame just because we move through space? No. They're still there. We just look at it differently. And more specifically, shame can come up in a lot of ways because with men in particular, it's going to be a thought and a core belief. I'm not good enough. I'm not lovable. I don't matter. No one cares about me. I am damaged and I will end up alone. These are the ones that we think about night and day. Specifically when something bad doesn't go our way or when something happens to us, these are the things that it creates. But because we're mental tough and we got to keep it pushing, we have that thought and we move on. And then another experience happens and that thought happens again. And then another experience happens and that thought happens again. And we just keep living our lives growing, but not actually healing what's important for us. So, when it comes to coping, men will be able to actually think about this in a different way. Because how we often cope through shame is really the ability to think about it in different ways with avoidance and neglect. It comes up in the sense of our sexual intimacy issues in our relationships. It also comes up with infidelity and chronic pain that we have in our bodies. And yet we don't identify it as that. We say, this person is stressing me out, and once I'm gone, it's over. This pain that I have, let me take some medication, let me smoke some weed, I'm good, it's over. This ability that I had to cheat once in my relationship, whatever that was like, well, I made it happen, it's over, I don't have to deal with it again. But once again, where do the emotions go? And so it continuously festers in our partnerships. And with men, how we also hide shame is through sarcasm. A lot of us love telling jokes, y'all. A lot of us love having fun, which is a great thing because play is necessary for us as humans and as adults. But to what point do we use those things to reflect what we're actually not talking about and dealing with? In black men, it also comes up in the sense of family secrets, right? A lot of us have so much generational history. Some of us have medical issues that we're not ready to share. Some of us have things that we are just too shameful to talk about with our own people in our own house, in our own room. And my question is this. If we cannot discuss the vulnerable things with the person that we live with, the person that we decided to dedicate to, or even multiple people with relationships, then who are we talking to? when are we actually addressing the shame that happens? I don't know. Something to think about. But how men cope is often going to be through pornography. Porn is one of those things that we can often have as a release. It's something that can often stimulate us, get us hyper-aroused, hypersexual, and it can also create a distance for us not to think about the world that we live in as black men every day being targeted. We also cope through weed. Toke it up! Smoke it up! I'm feeling good, nigga! You know what I mean? We have all of these things that we do all the time, and yet we just keep numbing it out. And so people come see me, they will be high as hell, you know? Because they don't know any other way to cope. Some of us even took an edible to even get here, you know? I'm pro-weed, y'all. Nothing wrong with it. My question is, how much are we doing once again to not address what needs to be talked about? And so often, that feeling, that stuckness, that heaviness that we get, that's shame. When we feel like we are not able to meet up to our full potential, when we feel like we're often failing, when we're feeling like we're not being able to do enough, it's shame. So we cope in another way, in the sense of sports. A lot of men love to be able to get physical, take their energy out, and be able to hit the gym, which is also another way to cope in fitness. Because the more that we can move our bodies, the more active we can be, the more distracted we can be, so we don't have to think about or address anything that we don't like before. But once that exercise is done, once that basketball game is over, guess what happens? We're going right back to that environment, y'all. Where did the emotions go? They're still there. We also cope in other ways, because when it comes down to shame, spirituality is another one. And this is hard for black men because spirituality is one of those things that can create so much relief. Spirituality is one of those things that if you believe, we can often do anything by God and His graces or whatever other religion that you actually identify with. But what's interesting is people can have Jesus and mental health. It's not one or the other. And when it comes down to spirituality, it's something that we often use to mask the emotions that we still have to deal with. Spirituality is not about having a positive mindset. In fact, we still use it to experience the pain, but it doesn't allow us to suffer. And there's a difference. You will have pain in life. That's inevitable. But suffering doesn't have to be. And shame makes us all suffer when it comes down to who we are as black men. Do y'all remember the whole Will Smith incident with Chris Rock? The slap that we just all heard across the world. We remember that? What was interesting about that whole situation is all of the buildup. Whether we got defensive, whether we had to know he was protecting somebody, whether we had to know that he just didn't like the words that were being said, it was the aftermath that was created for Will Smith to now deal with what type of emotion again? Shame. Went on social media, had to go to therapy, had to be able to then go onto national TV on Red Table Talk and address with his wife this entanglement that he felt like he didn't know about. Do you think he just got angry overnight? Or was that built up over years of what was going on in the relationship? Shame. We see anger on the surface, and most people are like, yeah, well, that's right, don't ever want to talk bad about your woman, defend her! And yet, internally, that's not what he was really angry about. Right? Internally, that buildup was a lot more than just that. The pain was something he was trying to avoid. Y'all remember Jay-Z and Beyonce with that moment today? That was what he didn't say with that Lemonade album? What do you think that was about? Shame. Infidelity once again comes into relationships all the time. And it's not about good or bad. It's about, are we able to address the feelings before we get unhinged? Mental health is about being able to expand your capacity to deal with all emotions, not just the three of anger, being on autopilot, or being happy. That's not true mental health, and that's not healing, y'all. So, when we think about what it looks like, we also have these cultural norms as black men that shame is often naturally integrated and created by. And one of those things is, when is the last time you saw a group of men go to a men's bathroom and start talking? Some of y'all up and down. How strange would you feel as a man if you were literally going to the bathroom and someone just started talking to you? Hey, what's up, brother? How you doing? Going, how's you doing? You would feel so uncomfortable. Do you know why though? Why would you feel uncomfortable? What was that? Time and place. And what's interesting is, how do women go to the bathroom?
Talking the whole way in.
Can I have a program, have a plan? Come on with me. What's going on? Can we share different things? It happens all the time. But men, time and place, it's not a good thing. We can't talk about it. We don't want to talk. I'm just trying to handle my business. It also comes up in cultural norms just with the sense of being able to think about how we also navigate going in traffic. I want you to think about the last time that a car passed you as a black man and how hypervigilant you were. Driving slowly on the street, what does everybody do? Right? It's a natural instinct that we have, being hypervigilant. We also become hyper-aware due to shame and protection, but some black people love sitting near the back because it's towards the exit sign. If something happens, I naturally know what to do. Some of you were tossed some balls and some candy, and guess what happened immediately? We reacted. We got startled, right? Oh, caught off guard. And what's interesting about that is exactly your nervous system working to protect you once again. Looking at threats, looking at danger. And so now most of you are awake. We're alert. What is he going to toss at me next? Right? We're on edge. And when we think about how feelings work, this is why we have them. They're important for us to be able to move through spaces, but these cultural norms that we've had as men continue to hunt us down. Police, being able to sit in silence gets men uncomfortable because a lot of the times we feel like we have to do something and be active. And yet, true healing isn't always about action and movement. Sometimes it's about stillness. And when in your relationships, the reason why they can be so dysfunctional is because we're moving so fast, we're not even paying attention to what is going on in the here and now. So we feel disconnected. We feel apart. We feel separated. We also have them show up in other social ways with being able to avoid hospitals. We know the reason for those. But once again, we have this startled response of saying, I can't trust. I can't be around. And when something happens to us later on, guess where we're going? To the hospital. We have these cycles of men culture that really start to take us down, y'all. We also have other acknowledgments though too, because every man in this room knows what this signal means. There's a whole other language, am I right? We also can do the downward play for our counterparts, right? These are all things that we understand with communication, yet we don't even have to talk. But the question is, when do we really start talking about the feelings that we're not dealing with, other than just having to mask and move through the world? With shame, one of the things that we can talk about is what we can do about it, though. Because shame is not about having to never feel that emotion again. It's not about you feeling like I have to avoid that. Remember, we're addressing, not suppressing. And shame is a tricky topic, but there are things that we can do to still make us feel more connected, Because all shame is the ability to want to belong. That's it. So, this group, a room full of men connecting, is a way to reduce shame. When we're actually able to socialize, support one another, stand up for one another, laugh together, reduces shame. When we're also able to make sense of sitting in silence, like we are now. Some of you feel real uncomfortable, but yet, it's not a bad thing. It's tolerable. It can be painful, but we're not suffering. But when you feel what you feel, that also reduces shame versus suppressing. We have the ability to also still have physical fitness. Movement is important in our lives. It's not one or the other. Both are necessary for us to not only feel better with the endorphins that we get and the cortisol levels dropping, but also us being able to challenge ourselves, which shame makes people do. Hence, I want to be a better version of myself. We also have the ability to reduce shame through play. When we're able to have these dance-offs, able to have these cookouts, able to have the ability to play with our kids, or just be silly once again, that is a great way to reduce shame among us, and especially as men. But the most important thing, I think, that's holistic, and that can be also helpful, is the sense of therapy. So there are plenty of therapies out there that can help with shame, and if you go to the resource on the link, you'll be able to notice what those are. But some therapies don't even have to talk about what's going on with you, and you can still process feelings in the body. And if you're ever interested in those resources, please check it out. But the biggest thing that we can do to reduce shame, which is also part of your resource link, is to be able to re-examine your value system. Know what your core values are, living in this world as a human. And when you're able to identify those core values, we can start living a life more in line, more comfortable, more with the ability to enhance ourselves as people, to reduce the shame that we experience. Remember, mental health is about flexibility and capacity, not about suppressing and feeling it all the time. Thank you, everybody.
You gotta give it up to TJ one more time. Those that don't know, a couple of days ago, Wednesday, me and Vetta, we were on a television show. We did an interview and we were talking about the conference, and they asked me what was one thing I was most in anticipation of, and I said mental health conversation, because that is something that we don't speak about in our culture as freely as we should be, and it's something that I'm glad that we all got a chance here today, because a lot of things in life are trauma-filled, and we don't deal with them, and we just continue to grow and grow and grow, and we never deal with them until we absolutely have to, and sometimes we're in a bad situation, and we're forced to deal with it. But I hope in this situation that someone gets a little bit more comfortable, they feel like they need help, to get help. We're going to take 10 minutes, 1-0. Then we're going to get to our final speaker of the night. Afternoon. And then we got a couple of little things going on. But please, 10 minutes, go to the bathroom, network, do what you got to do. We'll be back. DJ, give me some.